It's Saturday, and you know what that means. Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Stan Hansen Saturday. This week we will be looking back at Stan Hansen versus Kenta Kobashi from All Japan Pro Wrestling's July 29th, 1993 show. This was an awesome match. Both of these guys have tremendous chemistry going up against each other. This is not the first time they've actually had a match. They've had a few more matches prior to this. But this kind of seemed to be the big turning point for Kenta Kobashi, where he starts moving up the ladder of All Japan Pro Wrestling. And who better to go up against than a grizzled veteran like Stan the Lariat Hansen. Just a really great match. If you have not watched this is available on YouTube at the moment. Like I said, if you're listening to this in 2020, you're more likely to find these matches on YouTube. If you're listening to this later on, who knows? You might be able to find them. You might not be able to find them. But I highly recommend that you go seek out this match as quickly as possible because it is great. Last episode, we talked about a Stan Hansen squash match. And I pointed out how most matches Stan Hansen has, he's pretty much, the bully. He's on offense throughout the match, just beating up and destroying his opponent, no matter it be a squash match or even a regular match. But in this match, Stan Hansen is actually kind of working his way up in the match, where he's pretty much the underdog from the very beginning as Kenta Kobashi attacks him early on. Very early on, Stan Hansen starts stomping on one of the ringside wrestlers, and Kobashi uses this as his opportunity to take down Stan Hansen. They actually brawl outside the ring, where Kobashi ends up DDTing Hansen on the floor. Then he follows that up with a diving shoulder off the ring apron. Really good match throughout. Just Kobashi he's just really just going at it, laying it in hard on Stan Hansen with chops, kicks, knees to the back, kicks to the back, everything he could throw at Stan Hansen, he did as much as he could. And, of course, every once in a while you had Stan Hansen countering, and he would actually end up following up with some hard chops. He'd go for kicks, some knee strikes at Kobashi. Just a crazy match. Headbutts by Stan Hansen. But for the early portion, for about half of the match, Kobashi is pretty much in control of it, and he's just trying to get the pinfalls as quickly as he possibly could on Hansen. But Hansen just kicks out of every single pin attempt. Just a great early part of the match with Kobashi in charge. Later on, you start seeing Hansen start to make a comeback, and it really starts to happen. It really happens for Hansen when suddenly Kobashi goes for a shoulder attack in the corner. Basically, what happens is Hansen is laying on the mat near the corner, and Kobashi goes for the shoulder attack, and Hansen raises his boot up and knocks Kobashi down. And from that point forward, it really starts becoming more of an even level match. And Kobashi, Hansen at one point sends him to the outside and actually catches him with a dive. He powerbombs Kobashi on the floor. Crowd continues to chant for Kobashi. Elbow drop off the ring apron onto Kobashi by Hansen. More kicks from Kobashi. He follows that up with a knee drop on Kobashi. You could see there's a huge big bruise on Kobashi's left cheek, which keeps getting worse and worse as the match continues. And unfortunately, at this point is when Hansen really just goes to work on Kobashi, and it evens up. But they're just going Kobashi with some hard chops. Hansen follows with some hard chops of his own. They get a lot of near falls against each other, following clotheslines, DDTs, suplexes. At one point, Kobashi tries to go for a bulldog off. I think he's trying to do a bulldog off the ropes, but Hansen ends up lifting him up and dropping him on the mat with a backdrop. And Hansen misses a lariat. Kobashi gets him in a sleeper, and still that continues on. Just a lot of counters from both sides to each other, just trying to stop each other from getting the win off the other. Finally, Hansen using his size, knocking down Kobashi with a shoulder tackle. Lots of near falls throughout as the match starts to come to a conclusion. Hansen catches Kobashi with a knee lift, and then he gets him with an enziguri. Follows that up with some slaps at Kobashi. Kobashi follows that back with some slaps and chops. Kobashi gets more near falls on Hansen as the match starts coming to an end. Inside cradle, sunset flip, more cradles. Kobashi slams Hansen's head into his knee. Hansen ends up headbutting Kobashi and actually follows that up with a lariat off the top rope. Kobashi at one point climbs up to the top rope for a leg drop. Hansen kicks out of that pin attempt. More leg drops from Kobashi, and then finally he goes for the moonsault and gets Hansen. Only this time again, Hansen kicks out of the pin attempt. Hansen gets back up and goes on offense with some knees, some enziguri, some slaps at Kobashi. A clothesline is followed by Kobashi. Kobashi counters again and goes for more pin attempts. So in the closing minutes, Hansen kicks out of another pin attempt. Kobashi body slams him and climbs up the ropes. Hansen stops him on the ropes, gets in a forearm, a hair pull. That gives him some time to get out of the ring and onto the ring apron. So he's basically kept Kobashi still on the top rope, and Hansen's like countering, attacking him. Kobashi slams Hansen's head into his knee a few times. Hansen counters with some slaps and some chops. Kobashi follows that up with some elbows at him. Hansen delivers some headbutts at Kobashi, who's still on the top rope, and then knocks him off the top rope with a lariat that pretty much takes out Kobashi. Hansen gets back in the ring. They're both just laying in the ring, and Hansen's able to pin Kobashi and get the win. This is one of the best finishes I've seen in any match. Just a wild finish. Just a great match. The crowd cheers loudly for both of them. When Hansen does his cheer, you get the fans emulating him. And then you have the Kobashi chants as he's walking out as well. A great match. Highly recommended. Just one of the... I definitely think this was probably one of the best matches I've seen from Hansen and Kobashi. And definitely one of the best matches I've seen from the 1990s. So that's about it for this episode. I highly recommend this match. Hansen versus Kobashi. You cannot go wrong. Like I said, these two have great chemistry. Lots of fun in their matches. They really beat the crap out of each other whenever they face off. And this match was no exception. In fact, this one was probably even more brutal, especially if you look at Kobashi's left cheek and Hansen, how worn out he looked at the end of the match. Definitely a match everyone should watch. If this wasn't a 5-star match, I don't know what is. Be sure to subscribe to the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel. And remember, every Saturday we celebrate by recapping a Stan Hansen match. Talk to you guys again soon.